strongly say that if we do have a computer crimes team in our state forensic laboratory that are experts in retrieving any type of electronic evidence and data. So that's I'll leave that there, please.
Is there any update on the schools that were locked down earlier today?
No, those have been handled by the local authorities. Those 2 lockdowns in surrounding communities have been cleared. Yes.
Can you tell us if the alleged Bushmaster assault rifle is legal under Connecticut law? Is that by any?
I cannot tell you that because I do not know. That as I said this morning, that weapon, from the day it was built to the day we seized it, we will look at every aspect of it from stem to stern, where it's been, who's had it, and all the clips, the ammunition, everything to do with all the weapons.
Follow up to that, you know, a lot of people watching at home say, you know, there's no mystery here anymore. There's so much effort being put into the investigation, and they might say there'll never be justice. So who are the answers for that you're getting?
The answers are for the 4 victims, the families, the people of Connecticut that need to know and see a clear picture as to exactly what happened here. As I said many times, there are many people, including first responders, including town residents, including people right in this audience, that have broken hearts over this. And we're going to do everything that it takes to ensure that we uncover every bit of evidence, that we examine every facet of it, that we conduct as many interviews with everyone that we need to do to paint a clear picture as to exactly how and why this tragedy occurred. Yes, ma'am.
Can you clarify if the mother was shot with a .22 caliber rifle and were other guns seized in the house?
I can't answer that again, ma'am. Anything that was seized in that house would be evidence. And as far as the wounds that the victim suffered, the medical examiner was very clear. It was multiple gunshot wounds, and that's as far as we went with that description, ma'am. Okay, one more question. Yes, sir.
Can you speak more to the connection between the shooter and the school?
There was no connection between the shooter and the school, according to the school authorities here in Newtown. According to the school authorities in Newtown.
Can you answer a question about the mother? Why she had so much electricity and also we heard about a lockdown nearby?
Yeah, we addressed that before, and I'll just restate that. There was anything whatsoever to do with school security anywhere within our state. We're obviously all on the edge, or all on edge, and anything that's suspicious, anything that even remotely appears to be a lack of security or a breach of security in any educational institution in Connecticut, and I'm sure in surrounding states and across the country, will be treated very, very seriously. There was a report this morning where there was a suspicious individual in close proximity to one of the schools. The local police department responded, investigated, and cleared the matter. It was not a threat, but in doing so, they did put nearby schools in lockdown simply as a precaution. I do know that across the state, the governor, the education commissioner, and local authorities and local officials are putting a little bit extra security. We're supporting the educational system throughout the state of Connecticut. We're certainly, as you well know, the teachers are well trained, the faculty are well trained, all the personnel in the school are well trained. They practice for fire drills, for emergencies, and believe me, the blanket of security and public safety is going to be strict in the state of Connecticut. But what I'd like to tell you today, that this is going to be our last press gathering today. We've come to a point in this investigation. Yes, we are still working, but I don't want to keep you here, and I don't want to keep coming up and trying to give you information if we have no new information to give you. What we're going to do is I handed out a slip that gives you information. Anything new is going to be posted on our website. All press releases, all press announcements will be posted on our website. If there were anything that erupted or evolved during this investigation, and we needed to hold a press conference, and it had to be something significant, then we would give you ample time to gather at a central location and provide that between Lieutenant from Newtown and myself. So I again, am imploring you to please give the families privacy as they go through this very devastating period of time in their life. We will stay in contact. If you have specific questions, we can address them via email. That would be the smartest and the best way. And we'll be more than happy to address that.
Lieutenant, since it might be a long time since
Yes,
we
sir.
have a chance to talk to you, I'm wondering, obviously, MODUG is this key question we ask you all the time about.
Yes, sir.
And you keep referring it. Can you give people some guidance, people who might be impatient about how long it might take, why it takes so long, and how long might we have to wait before you come up with in motive to tell us? Just so we have some idea.
That's a long question, and the answer is very long, but I can simply tell you, as we've been alluding to, between Newtown, state police, other law enforcement agencies, federal authorities, analysis of evidence, conducting hundreds of interviews, literally hundreds of interviews, putting that whole package together and following each piece of evidence on every trail that it goes, it's going to take a substantial amount of time. We know, as investigators, that the people of Connecticut, the people of this town of Newtown, want to know what happened. We're going to do that. We're going to provide them any information and all information. We'll paint a crystal clear picture as much as we possibly can. But it is a slow process. It's not something that just is done in 60 minutes as you see on TV. We will keep the public informed. We will make sure if there's anything that's emergent that we get it out immediately, and that it's through you folks. I want to thank you for everything that you've done. You folks have been very professional, and we do definitely appreciate that. All right? Thank you.
Can you confirm that he may have been wearing
State Police Lieutenant Paul Vance, who's been really the face of this investigation over the last several days, now telling the press and really the nation that that's it as far as news conferences with more information hour by hour about the murders at Sandy Hook Elementary School. A few things that we should review with you, though, that came to light based on what he told us. We showed you some new video about an hour ago of these large moving trucks that came to the elementary school, and we weren't sure why they were there. Were they collecting evidence? Was there something else going on? Well, the lieutenant there telling us that some of that furniture is being moved. And John, one of the things that we heard is potentially some of these students from Sandy Hook, those kindergarten through fourth graders, may return to a building somewhere in the area where they'll set up a makeshift school, if you will. And perhaps that's where some of the furniture is going.
It is hard to imagine that they would reopen that school, certainly not in its current configuration, but that's a decision that is to be left down the road. After Columbine, they made some changes in the physical facilities there, did a lot of remodeling, but this is an elementary school where such horrors have taken place. There are many big decisions ahead.
We should also mention that he said there's going to be armed guards on that property. It is a crime scene. Also at Lanza's home, Adam Lanza's home. It was interesting, on Saturday at the news conference, the lieutenant said that they were hopeful about the evidence found inside that home, and he made some, he made some reference to that as well during this news conference, although he would not talk about whether or not, is there a hard drive found with the computer, was it damaged? We talked about some of those reports with you earlier in the program as well, so still very tight-lipped about the investigation at this time.
Obviously a gray and rainy day in Newtown, Connecticut. The weather kind of fits the mood there. The first two funerals for those two little boys taking place today, and there are 18 more to follow, along with the adults who died in that terrible shooting rampage.
How you can help? FoxNews.com. We have some resources for those of you who feel moved to help the community there, so check that out. Some great resources, and we hope that you continue to have a good Monday here as we watch the flag at half-staff across the nation mourning these victims.
Megyn Kelly is up now with America Live.
And welcome, everybody. New information from Connecticut State Police moments ago on the shooting at Sandy Hook Elementary School, as we also await a White House press briefing where we may learn more about the administration's plans, the beginnings of plans for trying to prevent similar incidents in the future. Welcome to America Live. I'm Megyn Kelly. Connecticut police now saying that 2 unidentified adults were shot during the rampage on Friday, but that they are now recovering. That is potentially beneficial, obviously, to law enforcement, as well as coming as a sigh of relief for their families. The news coming as the community of Newtown begins to mourn the 26 victims who did not survive on Friday. It was an emotional memorial ceremony at Newtown High School last night. President Obama sitting among the mourners in the high school, joining the community and the religious leaders at the service. First, though, he met privately with each of the families of the victims. What an experience that must have been. And you could see that he was visibly moved when he came out on the stage, and the entire nation has been moved by the events in Newtown, Connecticut, 72 hours ago. Today, police said Sandy Hook Elementary will remain closed indefinitely, perhaps for months, perhaps permanently, as the investigation continues, and as they learn more about the gunman, Adam Lanza, and what may have motivated this terrible, unspeakable crime. Rick Leventhal joins us live now from Newtown with the latest on that investigation. Rick?
And Megan, you may have heard Lieutenant Paul Vance say that there were, in fact, moving vans outside Sandy Hook Elementary. Those moving vans collecting the furniture from the classrooms and other equipment from that school so it can be moved to another school, Chalk Hill Elementary in Monroe, Connecticut. That's where the Sandy Hook kids who survived the shooting will be attending classes sometime later this week. He also mentioned all the broken hearts in this community and how important it is for them to conduct this investigation thoroughly, and that this will, in fact, be the last press briefing that we expect to get for some time now as they continue to look into the motives and what happened here and why. Police told us they are holding 2 crime scenes indefinitely, the school, of course, and also the home where Nancy Lanza lived with her son Adam, where she also died after he shot her multiple times. Of course, Sandy Hook, still a crime scene. That's where the 6 adults and 20 children were killed. The police say they recovered significant evidence from the home that apparently includes a computer, at least one computer, and telephones and other electronic evidence that they're going to be searching through. And they're interviewing every single witness, and that will also, unfortunately, have to include the children from the school who survived the shooting. I asked the lieutenant earlier today about how they would handle that. Here's what he told us.
I don't want to get into details. It's a very, very tender issue. And I can tell you that any interviews with any children will be done with professionals, with parents, and with investigators as appropriate. The investigators will determine how, when, where, and why we'll do this. Again, understanding we'll handle that extremely delicately.
This morning, family and friends of Adam Lanza are describing him as a near genius who had a form of autism known as Asperger's. He may have